All right, everybody. You'll see my screen. Thumbs up. Yay. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Ashley Jones. I'm the Managing Director of Community Programs here at the Venture Center. We're super excited to be back this month with a new Lift the Rock here this Friday. Today, we're going to be hearing from Chris Kent with the Argenta Downtown Council, as well as Laura Grimes with the Argenta Community Theater. Get an update from Argenta, all the things going on over there, and also a little bit on how they've all dealt with the impact of COVID. But first, a little bit about the Venture Center. The Venture Center is a nonprofit 501c3, and our whole mission is to help entrepreneurs. The pillars that we stand on are educate, collaborate, and accelerate. We educate folks about entrepreneurship and workforce development through programs just like this, as well as all the programs we run throughout the year. We collaborate with different folks within the community. That can be universities, other businesses, and folks in line with our mission and that have the same values as we do, as well as accelerate the companies that we work with through our 2 financial technology accelerators, as well as our local pre-accelerator, Spark. None of this would be possible without our awesome sponsors, the Little Rock Regional Chamber, the Tech Park, Entergy, Wright Lindsay Jennings, and Frost. Thank you all so much for all your support. We've also got several programs coming up this month and next. One that I wanted to bring attention to was this Woman Run event we have co-hosted with Wright Lindsay Jennings. They will be interviewing Karama Neal for this one. She is an awesome person, so if you have not registered for this, I encourage you to do so. It's going to take place next Tuesday, June 23rd at noon, and that one will be a really good one. So like I said, I encourage you all to attend that one. As I mentioned, we have several other programs in the lineup, so you can check those out on our website, follow us on Facebook, and subscribe to our newsletter so you are up to date on all the latest and greatest from us. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first speaker, Chris Kent. Chris's goal to revitalize downtown took off when he purchased a historic downtown home, joined the Main Street Argenta Board of Directors, where he served for 3 years, and opened the Cornerstone Pub on Main Street in downtown North Little Rock. Chris's next adventure would take him to Massachusetts from 2007 to 2013, where he worked in sales in the Boston area. But he didn't stay away for long. Chris returned in 2013 and joined the ADC Board of Directors, and in 2017 accepted the position of Marketing Director and later Executive Director of the Argenta Downtown Council. Chris still is passionate about honoring the Argenta Arts District heritage while focusing on economic development and revitalization. Please, everyone, welcome Chris Kent.
Hey, Ashley. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about all things Argenta with you guys today. It's, when we first started talking about Laura and myself participating, a lot has changed since then. One thing, I'm not used to sitting and speaking. Normally I have to pace around, and so this will be a little new for me. So let's see here. Let me get back to my slides. Okay. So am I up on the screen there with the presentation, Ashley?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Let's see here if I can get back to it. Okay. Where to go? Well, I seem to have
Do you see
lost myself.
Button? You can start from the beginning. Hit the share screen button.
Okay, my whole thing just disappeared, which is not too good. Well, I don't know where I went.
I can make you a co-host and see if that brings it up.
I don't know what happened. I apologize. Let's see if this brings me back in. Well, I'm going to have to log back in, I think. Give me just a sec. Oh. Yeah, I'll log back in, okay? Give me just a second.
Okay. Hang tight, everybody. We are virtual. Things like this do happen. While we're waiting, Laura, do you see the share screen button? Okay, good. There he is. All right, I'll mute myself. And Chris, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, back to business. All right. Once again, my name is Chris Kent. I'm not the IT person for the Argenta Downtown Council, obviously, and she's not here either because nobody works out of the same office anymore. So real quick about myself, I want to give some background on the Downtown Council and myself. These, they kind of go hand in hand. I graduated from high school in Little Rock in 1988, grew up in West Little Rock, didn't spend a lot of time downtown. I certainly didn't spend a lot of time in North Little Rock. My first experience with downtown was going to the farmer's market in around 1980 with my grandmother. We'd go down to 6th and Scott, she'd take me down there. There wasn't a lot happening, and we'd buy produce. And they had a predecessor to food trucks, which was something that sold, it was more of a concession truck. Wasn't exactly low Ivy catering or some of the great food trucks that we've got out there right now. So fast forward to 1984, when I went to Catholic, we had to do a presentation on Time magazines. And we had to pick a year, and the only place to gather information at that time was at the library. So I went down to 7th in Louisiana. My parents would drop me off, and I'd walk in the library, they would leave, and then I would leave the library and walk around downtown. So 1984 in downtown Little Rock was very different. There wasn't anywhere to go. There wasn't a lot to do, but there was something really vibrant about the way things felt downtown. So in 1989, I was a freshman at the University of Arkansas. My family has a business, Star Bolton Screw Company, that was located on Cantrell Road. And I came home during my freshman year, spring break, and we moved to downtown North Little Rock at 5th and Olive. So that was my first foray into the Argenta area. It was a very different downtown North Little Rock. It wasn't very safe. I saw 2 shootings happen in the middle of the day while at work. There was a body that was found in our property behind the building at one point. So it was kind of scary. And things started to really change in downtown North Little Rock in 1993 with the 1993 with the development of the Argenta Community Development Corporation. They did a lot of work with renovating housing in the neighborhood and trying to save the historic housing stock. And thank God they did, because if you drive around the neighborhood now and you see what's happening, it's really pretty beautiful what we've done with all these different types of houses in Argenta. At the same time, Mayor Patrick Hayes started streetscaping Main Street in Argenta. So we ended up with all these great spots to put flowers in. We had new sidewalks, lighting on the street. It made it really, you could start to see the bones come together for it. But where the real catalyst started for North Little Rock was the collaboration between the city of Little Rock, city of North Little Rock, and Pulaski County, and that was Verizon Arena, Altel Arena, Verizon Arena, and now Simmons Arena. So at the time we thought, 1999, that this would be, in my opinion, I thought it would be a silver bullet. But what I've learned since then is that shifting a downtown takes an entire generation. So while it was a great first step, it was just the beginning. In the spring of 2003, we had a couple businesses open on Main Street that really started to change things. One was Restaurant Capello, which if you're familiar with North Little Rock or you're familiar with Argenta, you know that Restaurant Capello is the fine dining establishment for our area. And if you haven't come from outside the area to try it out, I recommend that you do. They've been open for over 20 years and have great food. The other business was one that I worked with, and that is the Cornerstone Pub. We opened that business in 2003. It's now the home of Reno's Argenta Cafe. In 2003, I was asked to join the Main Street Argenta board, and I was 35 at the time. And I went in and sat down, and the very first meeting, they voted me president of the organization. And I remember one of the board members looked across the table and said, "Son, it looks like you've been railroaded." And I had no idea what he was talking about, but I continued to get railroaded over and over again until I ended up at this position. So in 2005, I bought the old Magic 105 building, which was next door to the Cornerstone at the time. And we opened an art business called The Hive. And we did visual arts upstairs. So we had paintings, people doing various sculpting and things of that nature. Downstairs was all music. We had a recording studio, a mastering studio, and then a repair place for musical equipment. We might have been a little bit ahead of our time on that. And eventually we closed down the Hive and we moved the Cornerstone into the Hive, and that space now hosts Skinny J's. In 2007, we ended up with a second milestone space in downtown North Little Rock. That was the baseball stadium. While the arena provided a great spot and brings about 500,000 people to downtown North Little Rock every year, the baseball stadium created a bookend. So we had, at opposite ends of Broadway, we've now got the baseball stadium and the arena. This really started generating traffic for downtown and started really giving us the idea that we could start to grow this area. So in 2000, and at the end of 2007, I ended up taking a position and moving with my family to Massachusetts. So I spent the, I don't know how that got there. I'm sorry. We'll just move on past Tom Brady. Sorry about that. We'll just let it sit there for a second, sink in. Okay, so that kind of gives us the first little history of Argenta. In 2008, we had a lot of changes happen. One was a property was developed on Main Street in the 300 block, directly across from City Hall, Argenta Place, where a group of investors opened up Cregan's downstairs, some office buildings upstairs, and then on the top floor there were condos. So it really started to show that we could have development happen in downtown. At the same time, a group of downtown businesses got together and started the Argenta Downtown Council. And the purpose of the Downtown Council was to really accelerate what was happening downtown. And they implemented a process that they called Clean, Green, and Safe. And if you've been downtown, you can see some of the stuff that we do with that. We've got a group of daytime green team ambassadors that do all the plantings downtown. They plant the flowers, they do the hanging baskets, they go out every morning, make sure the sidewalks are swept, and that everything just looks really nice, so it's prepared for business every day. The other part of that is we brought in some safety ambassadors. And our safety ambassadors are led by Spriggs Edmonds, and if any of you have been downtown, you may have hitched a ride with Spriggs at some point or another, as he is going around downtown, showing people what's going on, and explaining to them, handing out information, and basically just promoting the downtown. It's a great program, and one that the Downtown Partnership has used as well in recent years. It really frees up our police force to do what they do, while our ambassadors provide a soft touch, somebody that exudes that it's safe downtown, but not somebody that's coming at you that you would feel like you were that it would feel like it was more authoritarian, and it's not that at all. So at that time, the Downtown Council partnered with the Arkansas Times and did a series of events in a parking lot, which is now the Argenta Plaza. We hosted the Craft Beer Festival, the Celebrate the Grape, and the Whole Hog Festival there as well. Now, as you may recall, in 2008, we had the housing crisis hit, and we went headfirst into a recession. So that slowed down a lot of what was going on in Argenta. And so shortly after that, the city and the powers that be in downtown started working on renovating several of the buildings with some nonprofits. So you saw the library, the old post office, get renovated and become the new Argenta Library. The community theater took space right on the 400 block of Main Street. Thea Foundation and the Innovation Hub as well. So now in 2006, I moved back to Central Arkansas, back to Little Rock, and took another job. And one day I was walking down the street in Argenta, and one of the Argenta Downtown Council board members came up to me and said, "I want to let you know we voted you onto the Argenta board." And I was like, well, I didn't want to be on the Argenta board. And they said, "Don't worry, you won't have to do anything." And those were some famous last words, because it certainly didn't work out that way. So in 2017, I started a position at the Downtown Council as the marketing director, working under the founding executive director, Donna Hardcastle. And Donna, our plan was that Donna was going to work for, about 5 more years, and then we would transition into me into her position. Well, a couple months into the job, Donna announced that she was going to retire, and that she was going to request to the board that I take over as executive director. And so, lo and behold, in starting of 2018, I am the executive director of the Argenta Downtown Council. So what started as being railroaded into the president position of the old Main Street Argenta organization, and not wanting to join the board in 2013, has me full-time working for the Downtown Council. So it's been a very exciting time to do that, because there's been so many changes that have happened. Let me back up here a second. So we saw a lot of opportunities for things to happen in Argenta. We had a lot of businesses moving in. We had things really going in our direction. We have a lot of development going on with the First Orion being developed, the new Argenta Plaza being developed, and some of the other businesses as well, including the 600 Main building that you see. So all right. So as we were rolling into 2020, we had a lot of big plans. Some of those plans included an emphasis on culinary events, really pushing our restaurants. We had started off with just a couple of restaurants, and now we've got about 15 restaurants and bars downtown, which really is just so exciting for us, because it creates a sense of place that people want to come down to and hang out. And they're chef-driven restaurants. So you're seeing places like Flyway Brewing with Chef Gina Jones there. You've got a new restaurant opening up, Brewed and Barley, right on Main Street. You've got restaurant Capeo with Chef Erica Isaac. So we were really pushing this plan in 2018. We had new corporate investment happening. We had downtown spaces that we were working on, and we looked at having some additional residential options as well. So we all lived happily ever after that. Everything was moving forward great. And then on March 13th, we end up with COVID. And on that day, the last event I went to was a art showing at the Thea Foundation. And we were scheduled to attend another event at the community theater that evening, a fundraiser. And that was the first event that I really remember being canceled. And after that, it just was something different every single day, as all of you know. The information that was coming out was changing on the hour. Businesses were frightened. They didn't know what to do. We didn't know what was going to happen. How are we going to operate without having any ability to serve our customers? And what does that look like moving forward for being able to handle events? And events are what we have done in the past. So we put together a plan, and I'm going to read through some of these, the PowerPoints. I don't normally like to do that, but this is all new to what we're doing. So we developed a plan a three-pronged approach. We wanted some immediate action, we wanted stabilization, and we wanted recovery. In the immediate action, we were coming up with, we needed to come up with a plan to get everybody feeling secure. So on March 13th, we started looking at some of the precautions that were put into place with COVID. We developed a plan of action for informing the community. We supplied economic relief and support to some of the businesses. We really tried to provide as much pertinent information as we could about the PPP, about the EIDL loan, about some of the other grants and things that were available for businesses downtown. But we were also really careful not to push out too much information. It seemed like at that time, emails were coming just constantly with everybody having their ideas of how to stabilize your business and move forward with it. We also wanted to stabilize our own infrastructure. It's like they say, when you're on a plane and the mask drops, put it on you first before you put it on your kids. So, we had 5 employees. All of our events had been canceled. We had 2 culinary events that we had canceled. Our luncheon on June 3rd had to be canceled. So we had to go into action to figure out how to protect our own business, and we were able to do that with the PPP and also with some of the other loans that were available as well. We wanted to make sure that we had everybody, that we were ready for business when we came back. So we had to have our employees on staff to be able to be down there and work. So we then started conversations with the community to inform, support, and promote the steps for the Argenta Arts District to protect the community and the businesses. Then we went into the stabilization mode. On the stabilization mode, we wanted to prepare to welcome the businesses back downtown. So we didn't just do what we normally do downtown with our green team. We actually purchased 20 additional hanging baskets. We bought more flowers. We did more work. We actually added a couple part-time people to our downtown staff to help make sure that we were 100% ready. Because while we were planning all this, the city was still working and contractors were still working to finish the first Orion building, the 600 Main building, the Argenta Plaza, the new 6th Street corridor cutting through downtown. So it was really important for us to get out there and make sure that things are ready when people come on board. We had to pivot our marketing strategy. Everything we'd always done in the past was supporting events. And without there being any events to support, we were struggling to figure out what the purpose was of our marketing plan. So we started promoting some of the restaurants that were still open that were doing curbside. One of those was Crush Wine Bar, who just really thrived in this moment. They did a great job of making sure that they shifted. They started offering food options in addition to their wine options, and it certainly helped that the governor had allowed wine purchases to go. So you could go to Crush and get a wine tasting with 5 little flights of wine, pick it up, they deliver it to your car, and you could drive home and have dinner and have your wine as well. So we increased our social promotions for businesses in Argenta. We also applied for the Arkansas Ready for Business grant. And with that grant, we're using that to reopen downtown. We're purchasing signs for COVID and trying to just to be more ready to provide a safe place for people to show up to. Then we worked with the city leaders to develop the Argenta Outdoor Dining District. And we worked with Flyway on their tent city. Flyway's tent city, similar to Crush, Flyway stayed open and offered curbside dining. It was interesting to watch them because they really shifted their business and changed their options for what you could buy. They were a little like almost a snack place, a great food, but it wasn't full meals. So they started providing to-go dinners, Southern home-cooked meals, comfort food. It's really successful. Chef Gina Jones was providing fried chicken, meatloaf, greens, and you're able to grab a growler, grab some beer, pick it up on the way out, and they were able to stabilize their business and stay open. Another thing that they did that was really unique is they started branding their employees. So they created stickers of pictures of their employees, and they put the pictures on their to-go boxes so that you would know who was making your food. And a lot of times they were writing notes on the boxes, thanking the customers for coming. It was really inspiring to watch what they did. So when the governor opened up phase one, I met with Jess with Flyway, and they were trying to figure out what to do and how they could make money at only 1/3 capacity inside of their building. So at 1/3 capacity, they couldn't see the numbers working. So they started talking about doing something outside. So we had partnered with them on some events in the past in their parking lot, and Flyway has always been a good contributor to the downtown council. They've donated food, they've donated beer, they've donated money to a lot of the stuff we've done. So we had tents, we had tables, we had chairs that we used for our events. And since we had no events, we offered those up to Jess and Flyway, and they were able to create this tent city. And very quickly, they were able to get back to the numbers that they had seen prior to the pandemic. So their success with the outdoor dining kind of sparked us again on revisiting the entertainment district. So our entertainment district was something that we've worked on for a long time with the city. The mayor and I have had several discussions about it over the last year. It was something we knew we wanted to put into place ever since the state approved the law that would allow for drinks to be carried outside of permitted businesses out onto the street to walk around. And basically it was a way to increase retail shopping. People grab a drink and go in. But we wanted to do it in a thoughtful way. We wanted to wait and see how it went for some of the other downtowns around the state. So we discussed it, and we came up with a plan that we would be able to do that after the pandemic had started, so that we could have a place for people to go outside, similar to what they're doing at Flyway, and be able to go out and enjoy their meal outside, find an outdoor space to be able to do that. So we created the outdoor dining district. In addition, we've also been planning with the Dogtown Farmers Market, which is open every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And we began to design the outdoor dining areas, and then we've created some murals and some design elements to go downtown in Argenta. This is a map of what the outdoor dining district covers. It covers a major cluster of all our restaurants downtown. We included some areas in there. We expanded into some areas that we didn't necessarily think we would need to when we started, but we wanted to cover, if you look over around 4th Street, that's where Flyway is. So we wanted to include both parking lots on the front and the back of Flyway to be able to allow this to happen. We also wanted to include the alleys behind Reno's, Skinny J's, and Crush. We wanted to include the alleys behind Four Quarter, behind Restaurant Capello, and it'll be behind Brood and Barley as well. It includes the Argenta Plaza, which borders up to the new First Orion building, and then goes all the way up to 8th Street. So it allows for a pretty good area to walk around and create outdoor dining spaces. You know, as we've discussed the outdoor dining districts, we were trying to find spaces that we could do things. And over the last couple of years, we've worked in conjunction with Main Street, Arkansas on, looking at some blighted areas and having some drawings done. And this has allowed us to pull some of those drawings out that at one time seemed kind of pie in the sky, that now we can look at as a space to be able to do things. So what you see on the top is the back of Skinny J's, Reno's, and Crush as it currently looks, and a drawing that we had done of what we could do in the back. So we could potentially do events outside those 3 restaurants and make them successful. We also are looking at creating spaces on Main Street. One of the ideas that we've batted around is the picture on the left-hand side. It's called a parklet. You take up parallel parking spaces and you create outdoor dining in those spaces. The one on the right bottom is in Boston at actually the one on the top is Boston. And all they did was stuck tables into the parallel parking spot as cars are going by. We will probably lean towards something a little safer than that as we progress to something also look much more like something you would see in the bottom left picture. Another thing we've had discussions about is closing the streets for meals outside. Like maybe close on Saturdays on Main Street, put tables down the street, allow all the restaurants to sell their goods outside, and help with finding ways to let the restaurants and the bars make up the difference in the money that they're losing by not being able to have a full crowd. And one of the other things we're doing here is there is a mural project happening in Argenta. It's something that we really have not been able to get the word out to a lot of people because we haven't had a lot of people coming through downtown at the moment. But it was initiated by John Godin, who was one of the founders of the Argenta Downtown Council. He was also one of the developers for the building, the Argenta Place building at 300 Main, and pretty much has had his fingers in everything that's gone on in Argenta since 2008. This is the back of Flyway. This is what the mural looks like there. It's really amazing, and John has several other locations picked out for murals as well. So expect to see those popping up very soon. Okay, real quick, where do we go from here? Our future plans. Well, we still have work to do to finish getting ready for finishing up all of the construction projects that we have right now. So the plaza is being finished up with about 37 to 40 trees being planted on the backside of it, creating shade, opening up 6th Street, and basically getting those ready. But the city is also actively pursuing development at the City Services Building, which is south of Broadway, closer to the river. There's potential development talks in the works for the eastern part of Argenta, and then more businesses looking at coming in as well. How can you get involved? Well, the best way to get involved is support the businesses and support them safely. So come out, get to-go food, pick it up to leave. If you do go to businesses that are open, go inside. Please follow their rules. If they ask that you wear a mask, please wear a mask. And if you come to the farmer's market, please wear a mask there. And just try to be safe and be considerate of everyone else. If you have any questions, if you'd like to find out more about what's going on in the Argenta Arts District, the best way to do that is to go to our website, argentaartdistrict.org. You can click on and sign up for our newsletter there. You can also sign up for our newsletter on our Facebook page, which is located at Argenta Arts District. So that's all about Argenta for right now. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Chris. That was great. We do have a couple of questions that have come in. Someone had a question about the days, times for outdoor dining. Do you have an idea of when that might start?
We do have an idea. Right now, we are currently having the boundary markers printed, working with the city and the North Little Rock Convention Visitors Bureau on that, working on our signage as well. So we are going to be open 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And we've branded it the Argenta Outdoor Dining District instead of just calling it the Entertainment District, because we really want to focus on the food, and we don't want it to just be looked at as we're trying to create some type of New Orleans type atmosphere, because that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a reasonable, safe space for people to go, be able to buy food, go outside, and enjoy their meal with their friends at a safe, socially distanced space.
Okay, someone else asked, where would the Dogtown Farmers Market be located? Is there a spot picked out for that?
There is, and the Dogtown Farmers Market, it started up a couple of weeks ago, actually, and we've slowly been marketing it more. It's located in the parking lot right next door to the library. It's directly across from the Argenta Community Theater. It's 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., 2 hours. You show up. You once again, masks are required for the market. Masks are required for the vendors. Masks are required for the patrons that are there, and we've got markers on the street for social distance. So you show up, you buy your food, and then you leave the market pretty much and make room for someone else.
Got it. One last question. Someone says, is there a person, okay, let me start over. There's a person or organization that is the catalyst for every revitalization. They mentioned Anita Davis for Soma, Jimmy Moses for the River Market. Who or what organization is that for Argenta? Is that you guys?
Well, I think the downtown partnership really is, in Little Rock handles that, and in North Little Rock, we kind of fulfill that same role as the Argenta Downtown Council. But really, it's been the people in the community that have made that happen. Whether it was John Godin or the old Owens Funeral Home building being renovated by Bob Harden and Ken Davenport, or Judy Tenenbaum and Vincent Sulaco with ACT, and then also the, Paul Leopoulos with Thea. So it's really the people working in conjunction with the organization for making things happen downtown.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much, Chris. We are going to move on now to Laura Grimes. Laura, if you want to set up, I'll give you an introduction. Laura has more than 25 years of experience as an actor, director, and designer for theater and film. She holds a BA in theater arts from Hendrix College and completed the physical theater program at the Accademia dell'Arte in Arezzo, Italy, and the professional actor training program at Sanford Meisner's prestigious neighborhood Playhouse School of the Theater in New York City. She's performed and directed in New York, Europe, and regionally. She currently serves as the executive director of Argenta Community Theater. Please welcome Laura Grimes.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here and get to talk about act and theater and what I love most. And it's been a real gift for me to be able to come back to my hometown and work in this field that I'm so passionate about. So I'm excited to get to talk about it. Let me get my screen shared here and we will be off to the races. Here we go. Is that working? Okay. So I'm Laura Grimes. I have been the executive director here at ACT since 2018, November 2018. I grew up in North Little Rock. I've kind of like Chris, I've got some background connections with Argenta. My father grew up in Park Hill. My grandfather's medical practice was located in the back of the Argenta drugstore, which I can see out my window right now, in the 1930s and 40s. That space is now the House of Art that's run by Chris James. My grandmother's family were grandfather and father worked for Union Pacific Railroad, so we've got a long-standing Dogtown pedigree here in the Sesame side of my family. So like I said, I grew up here and then went to Hendrix, did some training in Europe and in New York, and did the acting thing for a long time. And when my husband and I decided to start a family, we wanted to move back somewhere where we could raise a family in a place that we loved. And he grew up here as well. So we picked North Little Rock. We came back and it's just been amazing, the difference in Argenta and in Central Arkansas in general, the amount of cultural development that's happened here in the time between when I left in 2000 and when we moved back in 2013 and in the 7 years since. So it's very exciting to be a part of, and I think it's pretty special. I think Argenta is a really special place. So let's see. So moving on, a little bit of the history of ACT. There we go. Chris talked a little bit about the way that the Arts District began to be developed around 2007, 2008, really spearheaded by the people he mentioned. Specifically, our founders, Judy Tenenbaum and Vincent Sulaco, worked closely with John Godin to identify a space that they could renovate and turn into what would become the Argenta Community Theater. The goal was always for the theater to be kind of an anchor for the performing arts in this up-and-coming arts district. We were officially incorporated as a nonprofit in 2008. The kind of grand opening party for ACT happened in 2010. So this year, 2020, we are celebrating our 10-year anniversary, and it has gone differently than we expected. So let's see. We are located next door to the Thea Foundation. They're great neighbors for us and partners. We're surrounded by other vibrant arts organizations and restaurants and bars and nightlife and all kinds of things that weren't here when we started. So it's been nice to watch this district grow up with the arts as a cornerstone. Our mission is to serve the community through education and the advancement of the performing arts. And through our facilities, we also seek to strengthen cooperation among nonprofits within the community. The photo on your screen shows our newly updated facade, including renaming our theater the Judy Kung Tenenbaum Argenta Community Theater in honor of our 10th anniversary and our co-founder, Judy. That actually was completed last week. So while we're not able to do a whole lot inside the theater during COVID, we have been able to kind of take care of some of these external details and things that we may not have time to focus on when we're in full-on production mode. So we think it's turned out really beautiful, and it's a great tribute to the mother of our theater. Let's see. Okay. So the sort of tagline for Argenta Community Theater is that we're more than a theater. Like, as I said, we wanted ACT to serve as an anchor for the district. We've got great neighbors with the Kansas Arts Festival, the House of Art, Bearden Productions, the Plaza, Lehman Library, Innovation Hub, galleries, arts-related businesses. It's a really vibrant place to be right now. And when they designed the facility, they were really smart about making it a multi-use space that, yes, we put on our own theatrical productions, but it can easily be transitioned for other entities to be able to use the space. Our seating is not fixed, so we can set up smaller, intimate events, or we can open up our walls and clear out our chairs and accommodate 350 to 400 people for a standing room event or a concert or a party. So it's a really flexible space, which is nice to help us hit the part of our mission that includes being a space that other organizations can work out of as well. There we go. Yes, okay. So our other organizations like Ballet Arkansas, Opera in the Rock, film festivals, fundraising events, galas, dinners, concerts are all easily accommodated here at ACT, and we really enjoy that partnership and even co-producing those events with our partner organizations. So here's a little bit of a look back at over 10 years. Our very first production was Cabaret. That happened in 2012. It was presented in partnership with the Rep, and it was directed by Bob Hupp. And then our most recent production, Ragtime, which closed 2 weeks before COVID kind of ground us to a halt here with our in-person productions. And we started out in our first few years of productions putting up one play a year. We put up one play a year in the summertime, and it's slowly grown to in our 10th year now. We're producing a season of 5 to 6 main stage shows every year, and a whole slew of other activities and events that we either co-produce or people contract the space out for. So it's gone from being, a sleepy little theater to a very vibrant and busy space, which is exactly what we wanted it to be. So we're still a really lean organization. We have one full-time employee, which is me. We have an event coordinator, a business manager, and 2 technicians are our other employees that are all part-time and currently all furloughed as we don't have anything to produce. I joined a year and a half ago, and I got involved with ACT actually initially as an actor and an artist, volunteering with the organization. I did that for several years, and as they grew to a point where they were ready to bring on someone to steer the ship from inside the building, they reached out to me, and it's been a really wonderful kind of partnership and experience to be able to do that. My personal philosophy about arts and community theater specifically is that the community in community theater means that we serve the community. It doesn't mean that it's amateur. I feel strongly that accessibility for underserved populations and for students and those interested in the arts not be something that is difficult to attain. So our sort of goal as an organization is to provide access to the arts and to performing arts at a high level in a non-professional theater setting. That really aligned with the founders' original goals in starting ACT. So we're kind of seeing, we're moving into our next chapter of that part of our mission. In 2019, ACT was selected by Readers of Broadway World as Best Theater in Arkansas. We won Best Non-Professional Play for Streetcar Named Desire and Best Non-Professional Musical for A Chorus Line, as well as Best Actor for Kaylin Colbert, who starred in A Chorus Line. So we're really excited about the impact that we're making here in our arts community and the community we've been able to build around the organization. Let's see. So our foundation is really built on partnerships and collaboration. From its inception and from the initial desire to be a part of the Argenta Arts District, ACT's core values have always focused on partnership and collaboration. And for me personally, as a theater artist, I feel like this is the single most important practice in this art form. Theater is by nature a collaborative art form and dependent on human interaction and shared experience. So it's so enriching for that to be a part of the fabric that this organization is made from. We put on co-productions with other organizations. We partner with other organizations within the community to address immediate needs of underserved populations. We have built educational partnerships with several schools here locally and beyond. And we just feel like collaboration is our greatest strength as artists and as community leaders. So the photo on your screen is a promotional photo from our production of A Streetcar Named Desire last fall, which we produced in conjunction with the Arkansas Arts Festival. It was a truly collaborative endeavor, and it was the first one of its kind for us and Arkansas that was produced completely with local talent, and it's something that we really enjoyed. It was a successful show, and we're excited to continue to do that in the future with the festival. Yeah. So a few things about the streetcar production. While that was a collaboration between us and Arkansas, we were able to kind of continue to extend our mission out as part of that production and hit our goals of also affecting change within our community and serving populations beyond just people getting to come and see a show. We did an event as part of that production at the Clinton School that included a panel of actors and director from the show, an attorney whose focus is domestic violence, and that was moderated by a Tennessee Williams scholar. And the sort of community outreach aspect of that show was to facilitate conversation about domestic violence and in a way that is sometimes glossed over in this 72-year-old play. They're, the characters are very timeless, and there's things that women or people in relationships are dealing with now that are just as relevant. So we felt it was important, especially in the Me Too era, to have that be a part of the creation of this show. And we had several talkbacks following the show with actors and the audiences, actors and production team and audiences to discuss some of this. And we worked with Women and Children First for that show to collect items for women that are in crisis. So it was a really, just all around a really great, enriching experience. So we're a home away from home for several other nonprofit organizations. We've got a pretty good list of people who hold their major fundraisers annually with us. Arkansas Enterprises for the Developmentally Disabled is one of those. They host their annual curtain call for a cause here. They were actually the very first event held at ACT before we had even held an event when we first opened. AEDD's event was the first thing on our stage, and we collaborate to produce a show with them and this 2-night event. We continue our partnerships with other arts and cultural organizations like ACANZA. We are working closely with Ballet Arkansas to kind of present some new and innovative works. They produced their series debut here this past fall. That was all new choreography that their dancers had created on their company members. And we have plans to co-produce our first show with VCLiftTheRock in 2021, if that all still is possible. We will eventually do a production with them regardless, but dates are just a moving target at this point. So, and we continue to grow our educational partnerships with Arkansas schools. We have a scholarship program with Pulaski Technical College. That's the only program of its kind in Arkansas, called the PACT Scholarship, where students that are interested in technical theater, that are students at Pulaski Tech, receive a scholarship that we co-provide with Pulaski Tech's development department for those kids to be able to work backstage and gain hands-on experience on a professional level production. We partner with Parkview High School, Hull High School, and Central High School to bring their kids in to see shows with us at a free or reduced rate and interact with our actors and crew. And then we have a summer children's program, a 2-week camp that we'll talk a little bit more about later, because that's having to make some adjustments in 2020, as well as an adult education program. So our education is really growing and booming. We're super excited about that. So here are a couple of examples. On the left there, you'll see the cast of our production, our 2019 production of Newsies, performing at the 2019 AEDD Curtain Call for a Cause event. And then on the right is the audience of students that attended one of our Lunch and Learn performances of Ragtime. I believe that day we had students from Hall, Central, the Arkansas School for the Blind, Homeschool, and Pulaski Academy, or Christ the King. So you get a really great mix of different kids from different backgrounds, all experiencing theater together, and particularly for a show like Ragtime that had very pertinent and timely racial conversations in it, police brutality conversations in it, immigration conversations in it. It was great to have this mixture of kids be able to talk about these issues during a talk back with the actors and with each other, and see the way that a story like that landed for high school age kids. So I love our Lunch and Learn programs. It's one of the most inspiring things that we do. It's fabulous. So now we are in a phase of innovating through uncertainty. It comes as no surprise to anyone that the performing arts sector has been hit really, really hard by the COVID-19 crisis, as have all sectors. As Chris said, we were planning our 10th anniversary event was fully set up and ready to go on March 13th. And as you know, March 12th was the day that everything kind of came to a halt here in Central Arkansas as a result of COVID. And while, it's unfortunate that our major annual fundraiser had to get put on hold and we didn't get to have the fun party we wanted to have to celebrate 10 years of ACT. It's really been an interesting time to innovate and sort of attack problems from a different angle. I thought Chris's immediate action stabilization recovery plan was a good way to put it, and I think that's what we inadvertently did. The first couple of weeks were sort of triage, we were supposed to have auditions for our summer musical the week after that fundraiser and open our spring musical 2 weeks after that. So we found ourselves sort of pushing things a few weeks and figuring, okay, it'll be all right by then. And then pushing things a few more weeks and going, well, surely it'll be all right by then. And then continuing to push things as this all sort of unfolds for all of us. The impact on the performing arts industry as a whole has been staggering, though, and that's nationwide and worldwide. Unfortunately, I think there are a lot of institutions that probably won't recover from the blows that have been dealt. We hope to be one that's still standing. We're in a good position to be one that's still standing, but overall, it will take our community at large understanding and valuing the arts in a way that they probably haven't been asked to as much in the past. For those small community theaters, large regional theaters, dance companies, symphonies, all of us that thrive on gathering large groups of people are going to be pretty hard hit. Because we were kind of the first to have to shut down, and we will be the last to be able to reopen in the traditional sense. Right now, we have suspended operations until in person in the theater operations until October at the earliest, and we just sort of keep an eye on it day to day and try to keep in mind where we'll be a few months from now. Technically we can open to a percentage of an audience at this point, but we feel like our first responsibility is to our community. And just because we can open does not mean we feel like we should or that it's the safest or most responsible way to present this art form. So we've been sort of innovating to reach people in ways that are outside the box for us. For example, our Acting Up program that I mentioned earlier, that's usually a 2-week in-person program, has transitioned to what is going to be called Acting Up in the House. And it will still be a 2-week camp. It will be done virtually. All of our instructors are reformatting their curriculum to be interactive, but something that they can do via Zoom, via Google Classroom, via Jamulus, and something that will allow them to still interact with students instead of just here's a YouTube video, we'll see, we'll send another one next week. We're trying to at least have some sort of daily interaction between each instructor and their students. So necessity is the mother of invention. And for instance, our 10th anniversary special, or 10th anniversary event was called Encore for Education, and the format of it was going to be encore performances from each of our 10 years here at ACT with the original actors that played those roles. So we kicked off a social media campaign called the ACT Encore Challenge. I started it with a video saying we were supposed to do this, and we know everyone's at home, but we still want to be able to celebrate the arts and the artists that have sort of built this place over the last decade. So we began the challenge with one of the stars from our very first production of Cabaret. Asked them to talk a little bit about that experience, maybe reprise a song that they sang in that show, and then extend the challenge to someone from the next show after them. And we, for several weeks, got to revisit all of these wonderful shows that we've enjoyed so much over the years and see these actors. And it created a really nice sense of celebration around an event that obviously had to change. So we're continuing to try to innovate in ways to reach our audiences, ways to interact with our audiences, because like I said before, theater as an art form is so dependent on that shared experience. You know, there's studies about audiences that watch theater, watch a theatrical performance together, heartbeats will synchronize because they're so in tune to what's happening in that room. Well, the nature of something like coronavirus without a vaccine in place makes that not responsible for us to ask people to do. So we're looking at ways to promote conversations about the arts, putting together panel discussions about what is happening with our different arts organizations in light of COVID, what's happening with different art organizations in light of the shift in our cultural conversation that we feel like has been much needed in the last several weeks, but we don't want those voices that need to be amplified getting drowned out by all of us are just trying to, stay afloat with COVID. So we're working on gathering groups of arts leaders across multicultural communities to talk about what we want to see our arts community continue to grow and evolve into as we come out of this. We're looking at producing new works digitally and just trying to be innovative, working with our neighbors in Argenta, with the CVB and the Downtown Council and the North Little Rock Chamber to try to support our community as well as we can and all kind of emerge from this stronger. So this is just a little bit of what we've been up to in the last several years. Our goal is to continue to grow and evolve and strengthen our partnerships and find new ones. It's the COVID situation has created some significant challenges, but it's our hope that we'll be able to come back strong and remain a cultural touchstone here in our community. And that is my talk. Do we have questions or?
There are questions. Thank you.
Okay.
One of the questions that came up is you mentioned that you may not open up back to the public until October. What can the community do in the meantime to support the arts and ACT in general? So
you can donate to us or any other arts organization because they're all financially hurting right now. Not being able to sell tickets or rent spaces takes a big hit on our bottom lines because most of us are primarily funded by tickets and donations in the first place. My personal guidance on something like that is if there is an organization that you really enjoy and patronize when we're not in the midst of a crisis, donate the cost of the ticket to the event that got canceled. Donate, something that's significant to you, but literally every dime helps. Our overhead doesn't stop just because we aren't producing. And I think that's kind of a misconception across the performing arts. Most of us have spaces that we are on the hook to pay for and staff that we're trying to continue to pay. And more and more we're hearing that some of the benefits that have been in place to fill those gaps are going to start to expire, and that's happening before we are safely able to come back to production.
Got it. And you mentioned virtual options maybe until you're able to reopen. Can you talk about some of those virtual workshops that may take place?
So the first one will be the kids camp Acting Up, which runs July 6th through 17th, and that's for kids in 3rd through 12th grade. It'll kind of be a small group masterclass sort of approach to the performing arts. They learn acting for the stage, acting for the camera, vocal music, and dance in that workshop. So for parents, it's also a really nice, it takes up a good chunk of the day. It's it's something that's engaging for them, that they're having to move around and they're having to participate. And so that's our first foray into purely virtual content that's not the crowdsourced content that we've been doing with the Encore Challenge, which all of those videos are on our Facebook page and on our YouTube page. So you can go back and kind of walk down memory lane with some of those actors. It's pretty cool. But then we're looking in late summer and fall at maybe doing some virtual productions of actual shows. There's a whole new interesting ball game when it comes to getting the rights to produce something now that broadcast is a part of that. So we're leaning on some of our personal relationships with playwrights here locally. We really would like to produce if we're able to do it virtually, produce some Arkansas playwrights work, and then facilitate those discussions and conversations about race in theater and the way the arts community is poised to bounce back from the COVID crisis.
And one last question, I'll try to get it out of you. When production does start back, what do you think will be the first production you guys put on, if you're able to say?
I can for now. As far as we know right now, our plan is if we reopen this space in October to start rehearsals, we are planning to be able to come back with our annual production of A Christmas Carol. And I think we're now talking about a contingency plan if that's not possible. If we see a big spike in cases in the winter and there's no vaccine, it doesn't seem like a good idea. The nice thing about that play is that it is a script that was written specifically for ACT by a Little Rock playwright, Judy Goss, that we have the whole rights issue. We have some more flexibility there. So we've talked about ways we could potentially produce that virtually or as even as a film. So there's some contingency plans in place, but we would love to be able to welcome everyone here into the theater for the holidays like we've done for the last 4 seasons.
Awesome. Good to hear. And I do want to thank both of you, Laura and Chris, for being with us today. We are out of time. But again, thank you for talking to our audience about the Downtown Council and all the changes going on in Argenta, as well as what's coming up with the community theater. Get out there and support however you can, whether it's donating, go check out the restaurants, curbside, wear your mask, do whatever you can to support your local community. As a North Little Rockian living in Park Hill, I can say I've lived there for about 7 years now, and I, utilize Argenta services and everything that are down there. It's amazing to see the progress and changes that have taken place, even over the last 7 years, getting to see the buildings come up and the new places move in and the community theater, grow and expand. So thank you both for being on today.
Thank you.
Everyone, like I said, go check out their site, see how you can help. Stay tuned to the Venture Center and all that we have coming up. Enjoy the day. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you, guys. Bye.